Chapter 2155, Something's Wrong in the Wulwan Empire? 2 months had passed in the blink of an eye since the tsunami struck. Time flew by like an arrow. During this busy period, 2 months passed very quickly, and the entire Huashu Kingdom did not slack off at all. At the training ground in Blizzard City, mutants from all major regions were training hard every day. They had complete information about the mutants of the Wulwan Empire. They had information on almost every Epsilon-level mutant in the Wulwan Empire. Then, they assigned mutants to train specific targets. For example, Deng Shintong was paired with Su Chanlei, Hu Mengfang from the Northeast Army was paired with Jiang Guanghan from the National Protectorate Army, and so on. Their coordination became more and more synchronized, and the integration of their abilities could unleash astonishing power. As long as 2 Black Chariot-level mutants' abilities are compatible and they can work together seamlessly, they can completely counteract a White Bishop-level mutant. Zhang Yi and Yang Xinxin had seen this with their own eyes, and it was because of this that they were determined to train the mutants. In the southeast region, a newly built closed factory was operated by a large number of mechanical life forms under the personal guidance of Liu Karen every day. In the 6 major military regions, various abandoned warships, aircraft carriers, tanks, and other military vehicles were piled up. Liu Karen used her ability to transform them into steel plates and electronic components without smelting. Brian and Professor Da Vinci stayed in Blizzard City and could feel that the atmosphere there had become very unusual. However, Zhang Yi did not allow them to enter the military areas. The man and his dog knew that the Huashu Kingdom was preparing for war, but they did not think that they intended to attack the Wulwan Empire. They just thought that they were making defensive preparations. Even they could not imagine that a human kingdom would attack a powerful underground civilization. Just like in Colombia, the official choice was ultimately to coexist peacefully with the underground civilization in the West District and the creatures in the Abyss 51. However, Professor Da Vinci and Brian were not idle. Professor Da Vinci had been studying the little gray man under the demon's eye, while Brian was busy enjoying the good life with his dogs to his left and right. Time flew by, and 3 months passed. The war between the Huashu Kingdom and the Wulwan Empire that the whole world wanted to see did not break out. They only had a vague feeling that there was a deeply hidden fuse that could be lit at any moment. Both the Huashu Kingdom and the Wulwan Empire remained strangely calm. But this atmosphere was like a storm cloud gathering in the sky. Zhang Yi would occasionally take a trip to the uninhabited island, but he didn't go near it, just taking a look and leaving. This was a headache for Claude. It was like a fisherman who knew that a big fish was right in front of his bait and was about to bite, but just as it was about to bite, it suddenly flicked its tail and swam away. Claude had no better solution, so he carefully scattered the fragments of the source of God and the spirit of sacrifice, and began to increase the amount of bait. 3 months passed. Zhang Yi was still in Blizzard City, which was so quiet that it felt unfamiliar. During this time, many things happened in the outside world. In Euro, the Knights of the Round Table returned from their expedition to Atlantis. However, this time, they did not achieve their usual victory. It was said that when they entered the 3rd layer of Atlantis, they encountered extremely terrifying sea beasts. Many Knights of the Round Table were seriously injured, and if it weren't for King Arthur and Merlin fighting with their lives, half of the Knights of the Round Table would have been lost in this adventure. Zhang Yi knew very well what was going on. In Atlantis, there was a powerful ancient civilization, and those giant sea beasts were extremely powerful. Even Zhang Yi, as strong as he was now, did not want to provoke them. However, Zhang Yi would never forget how they had ambushed him and the Wulwan Empire at the weak water abyss. Well, one day when Zhang Yi becomes stronger, he will settle the score. For now, he didn't want to think about it. Other countries also had their own rumors. For example, the North had fought against the Fremons. After a great battle, although there were heavy casualties, the mutants of the Pantheon had greatly increased in strength. Half a month ago, Morana went to the Arctic Ocean and collided with a mysterious ice civilization in that area. It was said that she single-handedly killed a strange creature of bishop level. The open and covert struggle between the Holy See and the Pupil Organization continued. The Arctic Ocean, the huge ice circle in the South Pole, the huge rainforest in South Meizhou, formerly known as South America. Many places that Zhang Yi had never been to were now experiencing strange things. Even in the distant sky, Mars and the Moon have undergone many strange changes, which have been keenly captured by the astronomical bureaus of various countries, but they have not been easily disclosed to the public to avoid causing panic. The world is big, and everyone is the protagonist of their own world. In places where Zhang Yi was not present, their lives were also very exciting, writing their own glories. But Zhang Yi didn't care about that. He hoped that his presence would be less noticeable, and that everyone would ignore him. Only then could he ensure his own safety to the greatest extent possible. Just like now, even though he had made sufficient preparations to wage war, he still felt that he wasn't ready. However, the Wulwan Empire had also become more docile, which really made Zhang Yi feel that something was amiss. In order to be better prepared, I had already ordered the East Sea region and Jiangnan region to gather their people. Now, the residents of the coastal areas have either been transferred to the highlands in the central part of the Huashu Kingdom or have entered underground shelters. But the Wulwan Empire has stopped attacking us. Have they really surrendered? Zhang Yi couldn't quite understand this phenomenon. Was it over just because they set a trap there? No, that couldn't be. The people of the Wulwan Empire weren't stupid. Even if they really wanted to use the trap to kill Zhang Yi, they would have used other methods to cover their tracks. Could something have gone wrong on their side? Or is there some bigger conspiracy? A chill ran through Zhang Yi's heart. People of all regions, pay attention. Don't go out. Don't leave the land even if you die. Zhang Yi made up his mind. As long as he stayed on the land of the Huashu Kingdom, the Hades gatekeepers wouldn't dare to attack. At the moment, he was the only one who had the ability to escape from the Hades gatekeepers. All the major regions were trembling with fear and became even more cautious. Cloud on the uninhabited island really couldn't sit still anymore. He was beginning to suspect that his ambush plan had been exposed. Otherwise, how could there be no major movements in the Huashu Kingdom? Chapter 2156, Messing with You. Although he had killed many humans during this period of time, they were not the prey he wanted. At best, they were small fish and shrimp. Not even a single Black Chariot-level mutant had appeared. Other countries were just like Colombia. Even if they didn't know the situation here, as soon as they saw that the Huashu Kingdom wasn't making a move, they knew that something was up. In fact, Zhang Yi hadn't been completely idle. He had sent some mechanical life forms into the depths of the cave to explore, but he himself had only wandered around nearby. If we continue like this, we'll just be wasting our time. Clot, who had been on the uninhabited island for a few months, felt this way. However, the lizard men officers under his command were quite patient. Wanting to ambush a powerful enemy is not something that can be done overnight. He's not without desire, but he was frightened by our Wulwan Empire before, so he doesn't dare to easily appear on the ocean. Clot shook his head and said, "There's no point in continuing with these small skirmishes. Now I'll show him what we've got. If he still doesn't react, then we'll have to cancel this operation and think of another way." As the commander-in-chief of this operation, Clot's orders were final. So, on that night, the entire southern sea was suddenly filled with thunder and lightning. A silver light shot up from the uninhabited island and straight into the sky. A magnificent life energy spread in all directions, illuminating a large area of the sea, and the afterglow could be felt hundreds of miles away. The spirit of sacrifice was an evolutionary substance needed even by the highest level of life. A relatively complete spirit of sacrifice requires at least tens of millions of high-level intelligent beings to condense. Clot had 3 such substances in his hands. When this energy was released, the higher the level of life, the more obvious the mutants could feel it. The light flashed for only a moment before disappearing from the surface of the sea. But in less than 10 minutes, the whole world knew that there was a large amount of spirit of sacrifice here. Of course, the Huashu Kingdom, which was the closest, was bound to be the first to receive the news. In the East Sea region, Li Guangxiao's body trembled with excitement. Damn it, they really went all out. Damn it, damn it. He banged on the table with all his might, his black deerskin gloves tightened, and his face was also tense with grief and anger. A huge treasure was right in front of him. If they got it, Black Tortoise and Vermilion Bird would have the opportunity to be promoted to bishop level. Although they couldn't directly cross that threshold, they would definitely be able to reach that rank someday in the future. After all, not everyone was Zhang Yi. A spirit of sacrifice was extremely valuable to all the countries of the world. Li Guangxiao wanted it very badly too. Even a mouse would be envious of the fragrant cheese on a mousetrap. Vermilion Bird and Black Tortoise remained silent, and they even had the urge to give it a try. Since Zhang Yi was their opponent's target, maybe they would have a chance if they went over and tried? However, this thought only appeared for a moment before they forcibly suppressed it. The people of the Wulwan Empire weren't stupid. How could they let them take the precious spirit of sacrifice for nothing? Knock knock knock. There was a knock on the door, and Li Changgong appeared outside Li Guangxiao's office. Li Guangxiao frowned but let him in. "Commander Li, what's going on in the Southern Sea area? Tell me." Li Changgong entered with red eyes, clearly eager to talk. He couldn't keep this matter from him, as it was already causing an uproar outside. Even some captain-level mutants from the East Sea region were planning to sneak over and try their luck. Li Guangxiao had no choice but to tell Li Changgong what had happened. Upon hearing this, Li Changgong sighed deeply. There really is no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Although they were very conflicted, they had no choice but to quickly inform Zhang Yi of the situation. It was up to Zhang Yi to decide what to do. Late at night, Zhang Yi had already gone to bed when he received the news and woke up from his sleep. After learning what had happened, his eyes lit up. Even for him, the spirit of sacrifice was capable of enhancing his strength. Most importantly, he discovered that this thing could also increase the potential of mutants to a certain extent. However, for Zhang Yi, its greatest value was still in helping his team to enhance their overall strength. He had already experienced the baptism of the Yihen tribe's Sea of Spirit, which was equivalent to opening the Ren and Du meridians, so his demand for it was not as high. However, people like Zhou Qir and Lu Karen still needed it very much. With such a large energy reaction, the Wulwan Empire is really determined this time. Alright, since that's the case, I won't be polite about this anymore. Let's take this opportunity to test my new equipment in advance. Zhang Yi woke Lu Karen, and then the two of them went to the underground studio. Zhang Yi brought Ling's human body into his dimensional space and, after thinking for a moment, decided to wake her up first. Then he went to the living room, tucked Flower, who was still asleep, under his arm, and carried Totoro in one hand. "I'm going out to take care of something. If everything goes well, I'll come back with a huge surprise for you." Zhang Yi winked at Lu Karen. Although Lu Karen didn't know what it was, she was already excited. She watched Zhang Yi leave, thought about it for a moment, and suddenly lost all sense of sleepiness, so she sat in the living room and waited for Zhang Yi to return. It was a dark night, and a storm was raging over the cold ocean, washing over the small uninhabited island. Crack! A thunderclap split the sky, and in the darkness, a black figure appeared above the uninhabited island. The Wulwan Empire officers who had been lying in wait here for many days discovered his presence and became excited. "Chaos has appeared. Get ready, as soon as he enters the cave, activate the device. This time, we must kill him." Deep inside the cave, a pair of scarlet eyes slowly opened, like two huge lanterns. Every tiny change in every corner of the underground cave was within his grasp. It was like a huge cage had been set up, waiting for Zhang Yi to enter the net. Zhang Yi stared down below. The worst outcome today would be if the Hades gatekeeper personally ambushed me here. But isn't that exactly what I want? Sooner or later, we will have a battle. If I can't even save my own life now, how can I negotiate the conquest of the Wulwan Empire? Suddenly, Zhang Yi smiled. "Just kidding. I am being overly cautious.